watching the award-winning GHS TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello everybody, this is Medical Talk, and I'm your host, Betty Lamar. Joining me is Madison Gomer, licensed practical nurse. Madison has lived with type 1 diabetes since she was 18 months old, and today she will walk us through her personal journey living with T1D. Imagine having a healthy, well baby at birth, and 18 months later, your well baby is diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Imagine having to stick your child with needles all day, every day, with insulin so that your child can live. This is Madison's journey, her reality. Hi, Madison. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Betty. I'm glad I could join.
Wonderful. Let me ask you this. How long have you been a nurse? And first of all, I would like to say I'm so proud of you because, just being diagnosed with T1D at 18 months old and now want to help people is very amazing. So let's get started with your journey.
Thank you. I've been a nurse for a couple of years now. I finished LP in school in 2018 and then took my board. So I've been a nurse since I was 28 or since 2018.
Okay, so did being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes motivate you, Madison, to want to be in healthcare?
It did, being like in and out of different doctor's offices, hospitals, and things like that. And then also having different like family friends and family members being nurses as well, that also just kind of helped give me a little push to want to do that. And it's my passion now, so.
Okay, perfect. All right, now let me ask you this, Madison. Let's go back. I know because you were diagnosed at 18 months old, this really has been your life. So as far back as you can remember, let's just start it there. Did your mother ever say what was going on with your body at 18 months old that prompted her to take you to the doctor and they diagnosed you with type 1 diabetes?
Back when I was around that age, of course, I was sick, of course, and they would keep diagnosing me with like bronchitis or pneumonia or something like that. And so, that mom just kept taking me back because I just wasn't getting better. And finally, she was like, something else is wrong. It's not what y'all are saying that it is. And so, at one point, I was basically going into like a diabetic coma, and they were like, let's check her blood sugar. They checked my blood sugar, and they were like, this baby has type 1 diabetes. And so from then, I was able to get started on a treatment plan.
Okay, so tell me this. What was it like when your mom first came to you with a needle to stick you in your arm?
I know when I first realized, like, as a child, at first, you don't really have a memory of that, but then as you start getting a little bit older, you're able to remember things. And so I remember the first time she was coming at me, like, and I physically realized this is a needle. I was like, oh my gosh, why is she sticking me with this? And then, of course, growing up, my mom was always just like, okay, this is to help you. This is, to make sure that, nothing bad happens. And basically kind of went ahead and told me early on, this is what's wrong with, well, not what's wrong with you, but this is what's going on inside your body. And, this is what we have to do. Some of the things we have to do to help keep you healthy. So.
Okay, so your mom is, if I'm correct, she's an educator, correct?
Yes, she is. She's a 5th grade teacher.
Okay, so when you first started school, I'm pretty sure that was a little bit awkward, especially being a child with type 1 diabetes. Do you remember when you first started in early education, if there were other kids that had type 1 diabetes around you?
At my age, when I started school, there wasn't anyone that had type 1. my age, and at this moment there still isn't like around my hometown that's my age necessarily, but I've made other friends that live other places that have type 1.
Okay,
But
so
it was a little bit of like a journey, I guess you could say, trying to, tell my friends in easy language what's going on, because I had more of an advanced language of type 1 at my age than any other kid did.
Okay, so how did it feel when you were a kid, seeing other kids, for instance, eat candy and all of those things, and being able to, I guess, understand why Madison couldn't have the candy bars and everything? How was that explained to you, where you could understand at a young age?
At that age, I kind of understood, like, I could have some candy and some sweets, but it had to be, of course, more of a smaller, like, amount, more something that wouldn't hurt my blood sugars. And so it was more of just trying to tell other kids, like, because they would see me maybe having like a different size or something, and they would be like, why are you only getting like a little bit? Why aren't you getting the same amount we're getting? And so it was just kind of like, telling them easily, just it could hurt me, and so I can only have so much.
Okay, so what was it like, Madison? Like, because kids go through so much. Bullying is, can be, I guess, defined in so many different ways, right? So did you ever have children that just didn't understand what type 1 diabetes is, or thought you were sort of, I guess, for lack of a better word, a little bit unique or weird because you were a type 1 diabetic?
Yes, there were some kids that didn't understand it, and some kids were just kind of like, I think they were just more confused.
Okay.
I never necessarily was like bullied, I guess, or anything. Like, I had some people make like little comments here and there that were just supposed to be like funny. I never really took it as bullying. I was always one of those that just kind of laughed it off, and I would kind of somewhat come back with something funny at times, just to kind of show them, like, you can't really mess with me. Like, I know what I have, and I'm confident about it.
Okay, so when you started your early education, did you attend school where your mom works?
Yes, I did. I started in kindergarten where she worked, and it helped because she was just right there. And it wasn't like, she was a city over or anything like that. She was literally within like 5-10 minutes of walking distance to me. So it was easy and it was nice.
Yes, I just can't imagine. I could not imagine even living with type 1 diabetes, and I definitely couldn't imagine having a child with type 1 diabetes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Madison Gomer. We're talking about her journey living with type 1 diabetes since she was diagnosed at 18 months old.
GHS TV started in 1982, and it was just a couple of cameras, a couple of on-air personality, and it's really grown into what you see today. It's a multi-million-dollar studio with top-of-the-line technology.
Being able to operate, all of the machinery in the control room, being able to use all of our software and hardware that we have around the studio is a great skill, because this is top-of-the-line equipment.
I feel like this class has brightened my horizon. It's something that I never thought I would be doing, especially as a student.
GHS TV is probably one of the most hands-on experiences a student will ever get in their lifetime.
Welcome back to Crosstalk. Nothing really has just the vibe that we have here.
Especially after you finished, you get a real rush of, wow, I just did that.
By the time a student graduates from Germantown High School, they will know pretty much every position there is, from producing to directing to on-air work.
You learn time management, you learn organization, you learn how to work with people, how to better communicate with people.
We put a lot on them, and they have to be able to have the responsibility and the knowledge to get everything that we ask them.
I had very little experience, so in the past 3 years, the skills that I've learned have absolutely exponentially grown.
The class has actually helped me figure out that I want to go to college for journalism.
When a student graduates, they are the best possible version of themselves that they can be.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Medical Talk. I'm Betty Lamar. I'm having a candid conversation with Madison Gomer, diagnosed with juvenile type 1 diabetes at 18 months old. Welcome back, Madison. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Okay, now, I remember hearing this, and I want you to confirm this for me. When you first started getting your insulin, you know, here comes this needle at you, right? And
Yeah.
I remember a situation with your dad. Tell me about that.
Okay, so it was my first time ever getting an insulin pump site. And so it was a little bit different than, of course, having an injection with a needle, but it was still a needle. And basically what this device like shot the site into my skin. So it was like one quick motion. And I remember being terrified. And so I made my mom put one on my dad so I could feel better about it and get one too, and have the confidence to actually have it put into my body.
Okay, so how old were you when you, because I'm happy you mentioned the device because we're going to talk about all the devices that are out there. But how old were you when you received your first device? And explain to our viewers exactly what your device is. I know it's an insulin pump, but just take a few moments to tell everybody what an insulin pump is and how it has helped you go through your journey rather with diabetes.
So I got my first pump when I was about 5 or so. It was before I went into kindergarten. And really it's going through the years and seeing how it's changed. It's a definite game changer because I'm not like on a super strict schedule with like the injections. Because like with the injections, of course, you have to follow like this time schedule of, okay, at this time I take this, injection, and then at this time I need to eat a snack or something, or I need to eat lunch or something like that. Whereas like with my pump, it kind of adjusts to me and my schedule, so I can go about my day and be like, okay, so I ate breakfast at 7, but this morning I'm eating it at 6:30, and it's not going to completely mess up my day because I shifted my schedule 30 minutes. And so basically my pump, I wear this little site on my skin, and then I have this tube that leads to this little device, about this big or so. And then I can control on there how much insulin I get. And at certain hours, I get a certain amount of insulin as well to try to help, keep my sugars regulated. And I wear a sensor on my arm so that way I can also visualize my sugars and see all my trends and things like that. But the pump is my main source of how I get my insulin, from day to day.
Okay, so, when I think about that, just going through my normal routine of life every day, right? And just to imagine type 1 diabetes on top of that, which means that you can't, no matter what else is going on in your life, you do have to chew gum and walk at the same time. So is there ever a moment, Madison, that you're not thinking about, I'm living with type 1 diabetes, even with the pump?
It's always on my mind, 100%. Now, there might be times where, I might not have it directly on my mind, like in the forefront, but it's always in the back of my head if it's not up in the front of my head, if that makes sense. It's always like there because it's, the way I survive. I have to always keep it in my head and keep it, just right there.
Okay. Well, it's like, that's what I tell people sometimes, like, yes, cancer and all of those, diseases are also devastating. But the difference is I had a sister with cancer before she passed, Madison. But she had sometimes years where she was on remission, and she really never forgot about it, but she didn't have to think about it because she was in remission.
Right.
Diabetes is not, type 1 diabetes is not like that. You all don't have a remission. So when you sleep now, I remember your mom saying she used to have to wake up all night long when you was a little girl. So who wakes up now at night, or does the pump help with that so you don't have to wake up at night?
It's a little bit of both. I still do wake up at times, at certain times of the night, to just check on it or just make sure, things are okay. Now there have been certain times where I had to go like without my sensor, like if it messed up or something, or if I was waiting on like a new one to come in, I might have a couple nights where I go without it. So I'll still wake up, midnight or 3 a.m. and just check everything, make sure it's okay. But the pump does kind of help eliminate that a little bit. It will kind of go off and wake me up if it needs to, but there are some nights where I don't have to because it's being regulated for me.
Okay, because it seems like every young person that I've interviewed, over the years, because, I'm an advocate, for people living with diabetes. I have family members living with diabetes. My dad, it's just, it's all around. So I do have, empathy and compassion for you all. But Madison, in the back of your mind, when you go to bed at night, is that, like most young people say, almost like the most scariest time? Because when you sleep, in a way, you're not in control of things.
Yeah.
So do you ever just have a full night's rest where you don't have to think about it or have to wake up to check anything?
There's been nights I feel like that I probably could have said I did, but of course, like as soon as I lay down, okay, let me make sure my sugar's okay before I really lay down, like before I really shut my eyes. And like anytime that I wake up, I'm like, okay, what's my sugar doing? Just to make sure that it's okay before I go to sleep. So, I wouldn't say that every single night's, of course, like the best night of sleep of my life or anything, but there are some nights where it's like I get a steady, several hours of sleep, and it's not really like, okay, gotta freak out or anything. It's good.
Okay, so your mom, we're getting ready to wrap this segment up, but I always think about the moms because, and the dads, but especially the moms, because they really have to, I always say, helicopter over you all, because you gotta sleep sometime, right? So,
Yeah.
So does your mom still take care of you and make sure that your sugar's okay? Is she still worried about it now as much as she was when you was a little girl?
Oh, she's still definitely just as worried as she was back then. She just lets me just take more, all the control, and then she steps in if she needs to. Like if I'm sick or something, she might, help out a little bit.
Okay.
But she still lets me do my thing.
Okay. We'll be right back with Madison Gomer on Medical Talk. We're talking about her journey living with type 1 diabetes since she was 18 months of age. Stay tuned.
Art is really an expression of the self. If you look at a piece of art, you can see the artist within it.
All just really depends on what I feel like doing at the time. I generally have different ideas every day.
I really get excited when my students come up to me with unique ideas that I've not heard of.
You can't let everybody tell you who you are or what your art is or how to be what you want to be.
I really let the students go according to how they're progressing, and I try to give them as much as they're able to handle.
Well, I like drawing a lot, and I like painting, and I like being able to improve my skill and show people my art.
I try to get them to think creatively. I think that's one of the few things that we as teachers really need to try to push with our students.
I can't sing. I can't act either, but I can do art, so that's why I chose art.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're You're watching the award-winning GHS TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back to Medical Talk. I'm Betty Lamar. Joining me is Madison Gomer. Madison was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was 18 months old. Madison, I am so thankful that you're here with me today. Now, I forgot to ask you earlier, you're joining me remote. Where are you located right now? Where is home?
Home is Blytheville, Arkansas.
Okay, Blytheville. I had a girlfriend that lived there. Now, I got to go into some of the, the sickness and that comes along with type 1 diabetes. Take us through a moment that you can remember other than your initial diagnosis where you have been sick, and what does that look like for a person living with type 1 diabetes? What is a sick day like?
So a sick day for type 1 diabetics, and just for me also, it's a little bit different. We have to monitor our sugars more. We have to make sure that we're taking an adequate hydration and things like that, just because we are so prone to becoming dehydrated so quickly. And that easily just dehydration can put us in the hospital, and could eventually, that and high blood sugars could lead to, DKA, the diabetic ketoacidosis, and that could, be pretty fatal. So,
what is that? Explain that to us. Diabetes.
That
what is
ketoacidosis.
Yeah.
That is when your blood sugars get so high to the point that your blood basically turns acidic. So when you think of acid eats through a lot of things. Well, that's kind of like what it's doing to your body, but it's in your bloodstream. So of course it goes to all your organs. So it can be, multi-organ failure at that point if you don't take care of it as soon as it's happening.
Okay, so when you started junior high school, your teachers and everybody, were they always sympathetic to you? Like you said, there were no other kids with type 1 diabetes, so did any of the kids feel like you were being, for lack of a better word, favored because you was getting that extra attention because you had type 1 diabetes?
There was probably, a couple of kids here and there that were kind of like, why are you doing this or why are you doing that? But other than that, a lot of the people that I went to school with kind of already knew about what was going on with me. And a lot of the ones that were around me actually took up for me, at certain times when there were other kids that didn't understand. They'd be like, whoa, she's got type 1, this is what she can and can't, have, or, she doesn't need this or whatever. Like if they were being rude and they were like, you need to stop, saying this or that. A lot of them would stick up for me if, they heard someone saying something kind of whatever, rude or something.
Okay.
So it was nice.
Have you ever had that moment in your, if you don't mind my asking, how old are you now, Madison?
I'm 22. I'm turning 23 tomorrow, though.
Oh, okay. Well, happy early birthday. But
thank you.
Have you ever had a moment, a human moment, where you wondered, why me? Why did this happen to me? I have a brother, he's this all-star football player, and why did I have to have type 1 diabetes?
I did have a few moments, I still do at times when something's not going right, I might sit there and say that for a moment. But I kind of think it always leads back to the fact that, it led me to nursing, it led me to my passion, and it's also led me to speak out for other people who can't really speak up for themselves. And then just like I've influenced a lot of people who are younger and older than me that have type 1. And so that's kind of like some things that come back to my mind, like this is why I have it. I'm strong enough to be able to go through it, and I'm strong enough to be able to be an advocate. So.
Okay, where do you get your treatment? Who is your endocrinologist?
I go and see Dr. Kashif Latif over at AM Diabetes and Endocrinology Center. And they are top notch.
Okay. Well, but you live in Arkansas, right? How long is that
Yes,
commute to get to the AM Diabetes Center, which is in Bartlett?
It's about an hour and a half drive, so it's far, but it's worth it.
Okay. So how long have you been getting your care there, Madison?
I have been getting care there since I was around 11 or 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about, I've had the good fortune that you co-host the Sugar Run 5K, which is a benefit for people like yourself. We're trying to find a cure for type 1
Yes.
diabetes. And I'm so proud of you because, you know, as I told you a long time ago, Madison, I didn't want you to just be Madison, the girl with type 1 diabetes. So you've
Right.
done so good with co-hosting Medical Talk, and you know now you're a nurse. So how close are you to becoming an RN? I know you're not just stopping where you are. No, you're Madison.
I have just a few months left. I'm in my last semester, so here in May I'll graduate, and I'll be taking my boards soon after.
Okay, so let me ask you this before we go, because we are living in the COVID-19 pandemic. How are you all affected over in your area in Blytheville with as far as COVID-19?
We're still, wearing our masks all the time. We're social distancing, even just as far as like going to the grocery store, going to eat, school and stuff like that. We're all socially distanced, wearing our masks and things like that. We're all just trying to, not spread it around. We're trying to keep healthy habits and things like that.
Well, I know that you're going to always take care of yourself. The fact that you have type 1 diabetes. Madison, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today. And thank you. Thank you for sharing your journey living with type 1 diabetes. I want to thank everyone else for watching Medical Talk with Betty Lamar on GHS TV. Remember, you can watch Medical Talk Fridays at 1:30 p.m. on Comcast Channel 17. For more information on our programming, please check us out on the web at ghstv.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can also check us out on Facebook and Twitter. I'm Betty Lamar. From all of us at GHS TV, thank you for watching Medical Talk. I hope to see you again soon.